really nice game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Definitely, for me as a rating, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Because there were a couple of things that I wished I could change of the game, but I can probably go into further detail on that once I create a review video, because I do want to create a review video of this game in general, because it's really good. I'll say that. It's extremely good.
Whew, well, I'm definitely long overdue for this video, but hey, better late than never, right? So, Lies of P was a game that a lot of players, including myself, were extremely excited to play after getting our first impressions from the demo that released a few months before the full game. Although it's definitely a Souls-like game, it managed to show everyone its combination of Bloodborne and Sekiro's playstyle, mixed in with Bloodborne's level design and aesthetics, which ultimately led to a lot of build-up and excitement among the gaming community. And thankfully, it lived up to its expectations and is adored by a lot of players, including myself. After both playing and earning the Platinum Trophy, I can confidently say that Lies of P is a Souls-like that copies the Souls formula that was established by FromSoftware, and makes the game a complete blast to play, whether it be by its level design that resembles a lot of Bloodborne's exploration, the gameplay that combines the parry mechanic from Sekiro alongside the fast-paced combat from Bloodborne, or the sense of accomplishment when dealing with a boss that once gave you trouble. This is a game that I personally consider the best Souls-like that isn't released by FromSoftware, and I highly recommend anyone that either likes a lot of action games or is a big fan of Souls-like games to give this game a go. I assure you that you won't be disappointed, as it deserves all the praise that it's received so far. I'll go as far as to say that Lies of P changes some of the aspects from the Souls formula that I hope can be implemented into future Souls-like games that release afterwards. And you may be asking yourself, how does Lies of P change some of the aspects of the Souls formula? Well, there's quite a bit of changes that it makes, which I will gladly go over in this next section. First, the entire world you explore is connected extremely well to Hotel Krat. It's been a while since I've had an environment to explore that ends up interconnecting with a main hub area like the Firelink Shrine in the first Dark Souls game. Although the game still goes through areas of Krat as their own quote-unquote levels, this gave me a sense that Krat was always connected to the hotel and not be a completely separate thing. This made the world of Krat feel more alive and give me an idea of how the map was always connected to the hotel. It also gets the added bonus of you being able to see an area you were previously exploring from a completely different perspective, which ultimately made me say a lot of the time, hey, I was there just a while ago. Second, the Stargazers help in keeping track of any side mission progress. Oh boy, as someone that tends to forget about side mission progress due to either stepping away from the game for a while or downright not knowing that I'm progressing a side mission due to exploring an area, it's great to see a notification for any progress made on a side mission when selecting a place to fast travel through the Stargazers. Previous Souls games would still have side missions that you progress at your own pace, but if you either forgot where the character was or just didn't notice that you progressed a side mission by your own actions, there was a big possibility that you could have skipped out on that side mission. The Stargazer system in Lies of P was a great addition to help avoiding this, but any side missions that aren't connected to a character, such as Trinity Doors, are still completely up to you to remember, which I personally don't mind since it brings me to my next point. And that is, any additional exploration outside of the main path grants you rewards that are worth collecting. This can be extremely similar to Bloodborne's exploration, since the world is for the most part a straight path that has some areas that are out of the way. But going out of your way to explore these areas normally reward you with either a brand new weapon, any quartz for your P organ, upgrade materials, or any store expansions to purchase more upgrades to make you even stronger. Additionally, a tough enemy that isn't a boss can be at the end of these straight paths, in which after taking down will normally give you a reward that for the most part is worth getting. The exploration aspect can be extremely similar to other Souls-like games, but some can miss the mark in not rewarding you for going through these straight paths. Speaking of your path options, the Stargazers and shortcuts are evenly spaced out in between areas. I did notice that in Lies of P, most of the Stargazers are evenly spaced out for each area, in which you would progress a certain amount and a Stargazer would be at the end of a section. This also applies to any shortcuts that lead straight back to a single Stargazer when exploring a large section of an area. Shortcuts also aren't too hard to find and open, as you're normally able to see what's on the other side and locate yourself when stumbling into them later on. And lastly, like in other Souls-like games, there are a lot of secrets that can be found through multiple playthroughs. These include any NPC dialogue option variations, changing your current outfit to get unique dialogue from an NPC that has been defeated,
Attire as your sister. As promised, we always match.
or doing an emote in front of a mundane object to get a secret interaction. There are so many secrets that I wasn't aware of until I had reached my third playthrough, and they were a joy to find on my own without a guide. Even though I probably have missed a lot more secrets, it always surprises me when I stumble into another secret that I didn't find in my first playthrough. Now, the previous section was mostly about any environmental changes that I found extremely well implemented into the game, but I'm mostly a gameplay kind of guy. And I'm also glad to say that Lies of P has some gameplay features that are extremely welcome to the Souls formula, and which I'll gladly go over right now. First, upon doing New Game Plus cycles, you get access to even more P organ and type upgrades. In previous Souls games, New Game Plus cycles would primarily only be an increase in difficulty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as this would encourage you to keep leveling up both your character's level and your personal player skills. Lies of P still carries this for each New Game Plus cycle, but it also adds brand new P organ cycles that also include new type upgrades, which are separate from your base level up stats, giving you much more variety in what other upgrades you can unlock with multiple playthroughs. Now, not only do you have other upgrades with each New Game Plus cycle, but being able to mix and match most of the weapon blades and handles brings a lot of replay value. This is probably the one feature I like the most from Lies of P that hasn't been seen in any previous Souls games, and is an addition I hope can be implemented in future Souls type games. Since in other Souls games, I normally opt for switching out my weapons to brand new ones, sometimes being limited to what I'm able to use due to my character's level up stats. In Lies of P, although you still get more benefits for sticking to one type of weapon due to your build, you're able to use all weapons immediately regardless of what your current character's level up stats are. This is the one thing I like the most about the weapon system in Lies of P, since I'm also able to mix and match both the blades and handles to make unique combinations and spice up the gameplay even more in multiple playthroughs. Since we're on the topic of weapon variations, the third thing that's great about Lies of P's gameplay is the amount of tools that you're encouraged to use in your encounters, such as the different grindstones that provide various enhancements to your selected weapon and your Legion arms. It also helps that these are always recharged when resting at a Stargazer, so using them are encouraged from the start. I'm normally a player that doesn't use any elemental attacks in other Souls games, but since Liza P has this mechanic implemented into it, it showed me how you're able to turn the tables in your favor against a tough enemy or boss with the right tool and not lose your resources completely if you end up dying in an attempt. Speaking in terms of both mix and matching weapons with the various tools, one of the things that I really appreciated from Liza P is that it has a designated training area with test dummies. Oh, this is so good, since in previous Souls games, what I would do in order to try out different weapons and tools is that I would either try them out in the game's hub area without any enemies, or go to a low level area to test them out and see if I would stick to them using that equipment for an entire playthrough. But since Liza P has this training area, it becomes a lot easier to try out different combinations without the constant threat of dying and losing my currency, or not being satisfied with the weapons I chose due to their capabilities. It also has the added bonus that with this training area, you're also able to test out your current Fable arts without any problems. Plus, being able to practice your parry timings for when you go back to the main campaign is great for anyone that has trouble with parrying. Since we're on the subject of parrying, the parry system, the parry system. The parry system is one of the most satisfying things in Liza P. Although it's extremely similar to Sekiro's parry, the main difference with it is that it not only breaks an enemy's posture to deal massive damage to them after landing a charged attack, it also gives you the ability to break an enemy's weapon after landing multiple parries, making their attacks do way less damage to you. But I will say that the parry window is extremely tight. So being able to master this mechanic and be rewarded for it is extremely satisfying. Especially if you break your boss's weapon in the middle of the fight. Now that I've mentioned the parry mechanic from Sekiro, Liza P also takes a mechanic from Bloodborne and implements it extremely well, and that is the rally system. The only difference with this system is that instead of being able to recover your lost HP after taking a direct hit, you're able to recover your HP after blocking an attack with your weapon. And when you add other P organ upgrades on top of it, even after taking the chip damage from blocking, landing parries consistently will pretty much heal you back extremely quick and not have to use any of your pulsos immediately, keeping you in the action without any delays. There is another great thing from Lies of P that I hope is implemented into future Souls games, and that is that your Ergo/currency is left outside the boss arena instead of inside the arena upon dying in an attempt. This actually caught me off guard the first time, since I was always used to having to recover my currency inside the boss arena before giving it another attempt, or purposefully leave them there and lose them to have my complete focus on the boss. This mechanic not only helps in case you wanted to go back to level up a little more before going against the boss once again, but it also ensures that you never lose your currency when going into the boss battle once again. Of course, you'll still have to do the salty run back to the boss arena, but this run back has also been significantly reduced, getting you back to the action extremely quick. The last thing that's great about Lies of P, and in my opinion, the one that benefits all players as a whole, is that your pulse cells have the ability to recharge in combat when you've run out of uses. This mechanic right here, this is a game changer, especially for boss battles, since there are times in which you're close to beating a boss but have completely run out of your recovery item and end up either losing or you're having to use extra resources to push through. Being able to recharge your pulso in the middle of an encounter not only helps in being able to push through a tough battle, but it also encourages you to stay on the offensive against an enemy to replenish a charge. Although you're only able to recharge one pulse cell once it's completely depleted, being able to always replenish one charge can give you the opportunity to keep going and come out victorious.
Yes! Holy shit! Oh, I got you.
Whew, okay, gotta calm down. Whew, alright, where was I? Oh yeah. Well, this was certainly the first time I've ever created a video in which I show and describe why I think a game is great. I'm really hoping that with the information I provided you, you're willing to give Lies of P a try, especially since it has already been a year since its initial release date. The only trade-off I can think of that comes with Lies of P is that it still is a Souls-type games, so a lot of the already established Soul mechanics and difficulty are still there, not to mention the other bullshit. And as of right now, there haven't been any new updates for the game in terms of either DLC or a sequel, but I'm equally excited if either one of those options are announced to us later on. And hey, if you made it this far into the video, share with me any other Souls-like games that you would recommend to other players to try out. I know there's been a lot of Souls-like games that have been released, some being really good, and some not so much, so I'd like to hear from other players. For now, I stand by saying that Lies of P is the best Souls-like game that comes close to being Bloodborne 2 without it being released by FromSoftware. But FromSoftware, please, get to it, please. It's been almost 10 years since Bloodborne released. Please give me Bloodborne 2 or a remaster. I don't care. I don't want one of those two. Anyways, see you all in the next video.